please give that brief pause. I wanted to take this chance to actually hand off to one of our sales engineers who's on the call with us. His name is Steve Hanna, and he works with me in converting many of our current managed hosting customers to a BlueBox Cloud product. And he's going to take us through the Horizon user interface, as well as show you how to really manage your private cloud.
Okay. Before I launch into the Horizon demo, I want to show folks out there real quick a quick intro on what our architecture looks like. The base OpenStack cluster that's from BlueBox is a 3-node cluster. If you can see here on the slide, there are guest VMs and OpenStack control systems, 2 out of those 3. And so the base default cluster that you get contains the OpenStack projects of Neutron, Keystone, Glance, Horizon, Nova, and Cinder. And in the case of Database as a Service, you can add Trove into there, and that's where Tesora comes in. So there would be another line item in here for Tesora as a service. Into the base 3-node cluster, you can also add additional compute nodes beyond that. Our base cluster comes with 384 gigs of RAM, 6 cores, 3.6 terabytes of storage, and 3 terabytes worth of bandwidth included in your cloud environment. That being said, what I want to do now is launch into the quick demo of Horizon. This is the GUI of OpenStack. Open is also fully controllable through an API. The API doesn't demo quite as well, so that's a little bit out of scope for this station, but we'd be glad to show that to you at a later point in time. So go through and you get BlueBox. What you get is a user interface that you log into. Logged into this screen as an administrator, and what I do is switch to my admin panel, and you can all throughout my entire environment. You can see my 3 base nodes that are here, and you can view a quick highlight of the consumption that's going on in this environment. Start off with. And what we do is introduce you to the concept of a project. And so this is one thing you can use to help contain virtual infrastructure sprawl. You can go through create projects, quotas, and users to those projects and spin up virtual machines within those projects. This is a way you can go through and, again, control the sprawl of virtual machines, and you can assign either engineering groups or product groups to a specific project, and then they can't consume resources outside of those projects. Project real quick, we'll call it web. This is where you can go through and set the quotas. So virtual CPUs set a quota limit of 10. They can spin up a total of 10 instances. The inject files is basically the number of SSH keys that are allowed to be auto-injected during the build of an instance. Number of volumes that you're allowed to create, which are separate storage volumes, number of snapshots that you can create, total gigabytes of storage, total amount of RAM that's available to this particular project. My create project. That's been created called web demo. I'm a user. My project is going to be a web demo and a service role. Administrator, I'm going to sign back in as that web demo user. My new project, there are no instances created. However, there are seeded snapshots available. These snapshots, you can view these as snapshots that are kind of curated by an enterprise IT department, and these have been marked public so that everybody on this particular cluster has the ability to go through and view these images and snapshots and spin them up as private instances within this project. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create an instance real quick. These are totally customizable. You can go through and select your own sizes, and you can see down the lower right-hand corner the project limits. And so as I consume resources, it shows me get ready to build whether or not I can actually initialize and launch this particular virtual machine. If I try to consume too many of them, like if I want to do 11 of them, you can see I don't have enough resources to spawn that many of them. I'm going to an image. I'm going to pick my base Ubuntu image. Access security, because it's a new project, there are no key pairs in here. This is where the SSH key injection comes in. I can select which network I want to put it on. It's a launch. You can see in a few seconds the instance is running. I'm going to go and view the console. You can watch it finish booting up if you want to see it come up. Well, I can also introduce you to the concept of a volume. So if this particular instance, say it only comes up with 10 gigs of storage and I want to create an additional data volume, I can add an extra volume. The gig volume has been created. I'm going to edit the attachments and I'm going to attach it to the instance that we just built. And I'll attach, and we can double check to make sure that our instance has finished booting up. It's pulling addresses. It should be ready here in just a second. Login screen, demo is complete. Process is complete. You can see now from my overview page how I'm starting to consume resources within this project and see where I am against my quota. And so in this particular user interface, I do not have the Trove feature. If I did have it loaded, there would be an option off to the left-hand side that says databases, and you can go through and create databases. And this is where the Tesora folks will be able to show you a little bit more information on how that part works. Sign out, and that will conclude the basic demo of OpenStack. The features of basically how to create a project, add a user to it, spin up an instance. And so from this point forward, I guess I can hand it off to the folks at Tesora, and we can go through and get a demonstration of how to make Trove and Tesora work with the environment.
From Tesora, can everyone hear me?
Okay. I hear you just fine, thanks.
Fantastic. So before we start, I have two different aspects of the presentation from Tesora. I want to do a quick overview of what database as a service is and how does Trove differ from other databases as a service in the marketplace. That's number one. And then number two is do a quick overview of the Tesora DBaaS platform. Let me first do the overview. Can you see the presentation? What are today's database challenges, especially when it comes to cloud? We have a number of customers, and this is a standard feedback we hear from them. So there are, at a very high level, you can abstract it to be those doing application development and the folks on the information technology side supporting them. So folks on the development side are saying, hey, you know what, I need a NoSQL database for my application to scale and right away. I don't wait for more than a couple of weeks. and that is because I have a first prototype or first phase I want in the next couple of months. And if it's going to take you too much time, you know what, that's okay, I'll just use AWS, right? So that's a standard dialogue comes from the developers. The IT folks on the other side that are used to a VMware or a regular say, hey, I don't really understand, I need more time to do this work. And from the perspective, they're saying, okay, I have a lot of requests coming in. How my team to support this isn't getting any bigger. If anything, it's getting smaller. We already have Oracle set up. Why don't they just use it? Why do they need a new NoSQL database? Mostly, okay, give them access to the database and the compute environment. However, where they're going to put the data in the public cloud, and do that, good chance they're going to put customer data in the public cloud, which is going to cause problems for our organization. And we as IT team would need time to do it properly. Per se, that's all great. You guys don't get it. Standard dialogue going back and forth between developer team and the team. And the question is a way to support this need. Now, demo Blue Box that tells you once you have an account in Blue Box how easy it is to create compute, to create storage volume, to use the networks and things of that nature. Some facility like Blue Box, you easily get compute and network and storage. So that's fantastic. But the big component is the database. That's where the Blue Box partnership comes into the picture. And how Trove work to solve this problem, right? So Trove is for Open. It's a base as a service project for OpenStack. It's both development for the developers as well as for operations for the IT folks, both for developers and operating folks that helps them manage their needs. We saw in the demo ability to create your own compute and provision as many instances as you need. So can you, from a data perspective, find for yourself your own databases, assuming you have an account on the Blue Box environment. Now, Trove not only helps you provide database provisioning, it also supports full data lifecycle management. Now, for folks that are used to or have seen the AWS RDS functionality, by definition, supports only relational databases. Trove supports multiple databases, and more importantly, it supports both the relational as well as NoSQL database. In this slide, you see the image or the picture of a vending machine labeled Trove. Think of a vending machine and provide you instances of the different available. In this case, you see pictures of MySQL, Oracle, Cassandra, Mongo, Percona, Postcouchbase. It's not this, there is more coming down the pipe. So you have the ability to use Trove to, on a service basis, provide a database that you need. Like earlier, Trove is not just a way to provision data instances. You can use Trove to do database tuning. So you can say, if you're talking about a MySQL you use Trove to automatically tune size and UI, the buffer size, log file size, things of that nature. You can also use the Trove API to programmatically manage these configuration groups. From one perspective, you can database schema, you can create users, you can provide appropriate permissions, you can root user if that's what you need. Just like we saw on the demo, in both size, the floor as well as the storage volume underneath if your database is growing in size and you want to provide it more space. Trove, you can automatically, using Trove, you can do full and incremental backups. And so for those supported databases, you can also do replication way lower. And lastly, security groups. One of the good things about OpenStack and cloud in general is the ability to create instances. So what you do is, when it comes to databases, and the chance you are going to put sensitive custom data in there, you want to secure that. So using Trove, you can create security groups. And Trove, by definition, you can use it to turn off SSH, log into those instances that are running the database. You can access the databases from outside, but by default, you can't log into the instances that run the database and do things directly. And then can remove localhost users. It manuals root user password. It applies security patches automatically. So the number of things, not just provisioning. And this is just a sample of what you can do with Trove that helps you manage your database needs. That's Trove, and Trove is a project within OpenStack. OpenStack has a number of projects: the Cinder volume, the compute, Horizon for the dashboard, key entity, and in this case, it has Trove for database as a service. Where it fit in? So Tesora, what we have done is that we have taken Trove project, have hardened it for the enterprise, and we are supporting it. So the database as a service platform is a super Trove. Made it so that it is very easy to deploy and use. That provides, and as part of Blue Box, we integrate that with Blue Box so you can directly configure it through the UI. Compared to what is available in OpenStack, the Tesora DBaaS platform has got most comprehensive CI, which is the continuous integration to test it across multiple different operating systems and databases to make sure the Trove you get through Blue Box is the most tested, scalable solution. Provide world-class support, so we will work with the Blue Box to make you get 7x24 support as needed to support your production work. One important feature that distinguishes Tesora from anyone else is the ability to get more Trove features earlier. So we made a decision earlier to backport the latest Trove features to previous versions. Regardless of the version that you have on Blue Box, the latest version of Trove that's coming out in summer is Kilo. We take Kilo features and we backport it all the way back to ISO. So you get all latest databases, all the latest database HA features, functionality. You all get it all in the prior version. So that is something that uniquely distinguishes the Tesora offering from other offerings. And last but not the least is, if you look at the Trove community, understanding that OpenStack is a community-driven open source project is the largest contributor to the Trove project. We have a number of folks sitting on the Trove so that we have the ability to take customer feedback and help influence the product direction. That gives you an overview of Trove, database as a service, DBaaS platform, where it all fits in. To further illustrate this, I'm going to show a quick demo, which, if there are questions, I will be able to answer those. of running the application. Just bear with me for 1 second. First, like we all can see, so what I had done is I have taken a video, so it's very easy to kind of go through that, and I can talk as long as needed. So the Tesora DBaaS platform, but once you access it, blue box environment, it will be very similar to what we saw earlier in the demo of box environment. The look and feel will be the same as that. And that we saw earlier sets the stage for what you will see here. So the dashboard, other than the fact you see on the top hand left corner it says Tesora instead of blue box, it's very similar to what you see there. This is the system. I've logged in as the admin, so you see extra functionality. But configure it for your needs. You may not, depending on what access you get for organization or for your individual, may not see the system dashboard. You see project dashboard. So project, you have two major components. You have the database component and the compute component. The compute component gives you views into the Nova, which is the compute part of it, as well as to the Cinder, which is the storage part of it. And the base gives us to the Trove project part. You see here with database instances, and there is a Oracle instance running. So what do you see here? If you look at the screen, you see the name instance. Pretty good with names, so I admit it freely. So I gave it 27 PDB1. It is basically the thing to take away from there is it is an Oracle data store, runs data store version 12.1. The host, the size of the instance as well as the memory available to that, the database volume size, and whether it's active or not. If you compute part of that, you also have images. So what I had done prior to the demo is, remember I showed a picture of a vending machine with a number of databases available. From those databases, I set up 3 images: a Google image, a MongoDB image, and an Oracle image, which basically means you have the ability to, from this instance, from this setup, to create and use Oracle 12c database, MongoDB database, and SQL database. So let's launch an instance, shall we? The first thing that is all you would need to do is click the launch instance. Once you go to click the launch instance, you have a dashboard. Remember, this dashboard should be very familiar to you once you have seen the earlier demo, the look and feel of the Horizon dashboard and the way that the blue box component from a compute perspective and the same blue box looking for the databases is very similar. So from a training users and usability perspective, it is pretty much the same. You see here, you see 3 tabs. The first tab contains details about the database itself. So this contains the name of the instance, the flavor, the volume size, and the data store. So you need the name of the database. So MySQL 5.5 database, so I'm going to call it MySQL instance 1. Choose a flavor. I'm going to choose the smallest flavor initially, so Trove Tiny, and then I'm going to choose a 3 gig volume. Now, one of the things that you with Trove is as you create an instance, You can also create the database or databases that you want to run on that instance along with the users that are going to manage that database. So in this case, I'm going to create a database here, create a user, I put a password so you can log in as that user on the database, you can manage that. User called user1, and for the user, what is you can create one or more databases at the same time, and you specify your host to allow the user to connect only from the host to access the database. Also, an advanced option. I said you have the ability using Trove for database instances. So for the purpose, you can set up a configuration. And configuration, you can specify values for the base, and you can manage it through the configuration. You don't have to be a deep to do that. As long as you have access to this panel in your dashboard, you manage database instances that are currently running. And the ability not only create an instance from scratch like we are doing right now, you have an instance running before and you have a backup from the instance, a new instance based on the backup, or database supports replica clustering. If you want a new replica of an existing instance, use that too. So you can create an instance that's a replica of an existing instance. So you can do all of this use our DBaaS platform. So that instance, shall we? And then you have the instance available. What is available? Just we saw earlier. A MySQL 5.1 instance. This is address. This is of a size tiny, which really means you are giving it 5 MB. And obviously, just we saw earlier, you have the ability to increase the size of the flavor, so you can always do that. But started small, and we gave it a volume gigs, and it is active right now. If you want to look at it more to get more information, you can click on the name and you get a bunch of information about that. You see that it is a flavor, the RAM, the volume size, when was it created, when was it updated. You can see the connection info because you would need this connect to the database instance. So you see that this information, your action example. So from your perspective, now that you have an instance from assuming access to this network now, in case the address is a private one, but remember when you saw the blue box demo, you have the ability to give it a public network. So you would have, in this case, given it a public IP address. So that means from your computer, you will access your MySQL database on that public and plug it right in there, where you see the host name in there. So if you go below the connection example, you see host name in there. You would put in the public address of the host, and you use the MySQL client to access it by providing the username and the password that we did along with the database. So it will enable you to access the database. Along with this, you can also see the user you created and what database they have access to, and databases that are currently there. If you create backups, you will see the backups too. And the thing to keep in mind here are all the default values that MySQL currently has. You've created a configuration group for MySQL, and you chose to associate that configuration group with this particular instance of the database. Using that configuration group, you need to control, as you see on the screen, the default pool size and the file table and all the attributes using the configuration groups. go ahead and create another instance. So we created related databases so far. So let's go and create a NoSQL database. So that one option for that is a MongoDB database. So let's go create a MongoDB database. So you choose the instance. Before we type the instance name. Like I'm not very good with names, so I just go with Mongo instance. And so let's go with the bigger instance right now. So I chose a medium. I gave it more space, 5 gigabytes. Now in this is Mongo database. I'm not going to create a database or a user, nor am I going to set up a configuration. So I'm going to create a Mongo instance with the idea that I'm going to create a Mongo instance, give it to the user, and they can and then they can connect to the Mongo instance, and they can create the databases that they need directly. So the difference between creating databases and users, and creating instances, and letting you access that instance and create databases that you need based on your needs. You have both ways. So if you are using this to provide databases and instances to other folks working for your organization, whether or not you know what databases they need, what schemas they need in advance, you pre-create it for them, or you create an instance and just give it to them and let them manage it. You have both options. That's what I've tried to show here. A Mongo instance. Now this is available, it's active, and you see that compared to Trove Tiny, it's Trove Medium. We have those different flavors available. The one that are earlier, you have multiple flavors available. You can choose whichever one you want. You can either go from 512 MB to a gig or to 2 gig, and obviously you can work with Blue Box to set up different flavors that suits your needs. And MySQL, if you can click on the instance, you see all the different options available, include host, the connection examples to the Mongo database. So the other tab for the databases are backups and configuration groups. If you have created backups, click on the backups and you can see the backups available. Now you see two backups. One is back 1, the other is back 1.1. What is the difference between the two? If you look at the column incremental, you see one of them says yes, the other one says no. So you look at back 1. Back 1 is the first backup of a database. It's the main backup. So it's an incremental backup. It's a full backup. Then what I had done is I created a backup on top of that. So with incremental backup from the changes that were made to the database since I took the backup. So using Trove, you can set up policies that says take a full backup every Sunday and do an incremental backup Monday, Wednesday, Saturday, something like that. So you have the ability to create incremental backups to keep track of what's happening in your databases. You have the ability to set up configuration groups. I have a configuration group for Oracle, but you have configuration groups for other databases also. And if you want backup, all you would need to do is click on the button, create backup. If you want to resize your database volume, which means you start off with, let's say, 3 gigs, your database growing, and you want to allocate space to that to accommodate those needs, you can use this option to do that. And then to change the flavor from a tiny to a medium to a large to extra large, and any other flavors that is available on the Blue Box environment. All you do is click on Resize Instance and choose the instance that you want. Trove takes care of backing up your database and moving it from whatever instance you want to the newer instance. Keep in mind, if you're going to go from a large to a tiny, it may work depending on the database size at that point of time, but it allows you the ability to do that. And if you try to do that, you would get an error from Trove indicating that you can't do that. And if you want to, if for the Trove module instance, we did not create a configuration group. But in fact, you can create a configuration group and specify all the parameters. You can only specify, let's say, 5 parameters that you want to control. Put just those 5 in the configuration group. As it using attach configuration group option right here. Using that, you can control that instance. If you want to restart your database, you can do that using restart. If you're done with database and you want to terminate it, so you get charged for it, you can terminate the instance. Couple other facts is if you want to, like I said earlier, if you want to not create an instance but want to create it from backup, from a replication, you have the option too. So you have the ability using the Tesora DBaaS platform to create multiple types of databases that are supported. And today, you have support for SQL, MongoDB, Cassandra, Redis, Couchbase, Postgres from the community. Web support, I believe, is coming soon. Summer time frame, I believe you have support, initial support for DB2 and CouchDB. And Tesora, working with companies like Blue Box and other enterprises that want support for proprietary databases like Oracle and SQL Server. So we started support for Oracle 12c to begin with, and we'll also have support for SQL Server soon. Obviously, you can use the Tesora DBaaS platform to create and use those databases within the Blue Box environment, and see that it's very easy. Choose the user interface to launch one or many and for the needs that you have for yourself. And that includes from a demo perspective also that you have how the Tesora DBaaS platform works. And if you want to see further demos or get more information, contact your Blue Box team, and we will work together to provide you the information. So you stop the demo right now, and I'm going to allow our questions from the audience. Are there any questions from the audience? Mark, you first.
Any questions from the Blue Box team, or for the Blue Box team as well? We're happy to talk a little bit more about the platform or any questions on how we integrate. We're able to end.
I believe there were a couple of questions, two from Andy Johnson about control plane and availability zones.
Oh yes, I see it in there now. So question from Andy on the control plane, dedicated to each customer, or is there the entire environment is dedicated on a per customer basis? So the API is dedicated, so our base 3-node cluster, everything that's contained within that 3-node cluster is 100% dedicated to a specific customer, including the APIs. And can projects span availability zones or multiple data centers? By default, out of the box, no. There may be some back-end integration we might be able to work with to help that out, but out of the box and by default with the Blue Box Cloud, no.
And Steve, if I can chime in for 1 second. Now, one of the functionality, and this is something, if you're interested, Andy and others, we can work with the Blue Box team and Tesora, but failover of databases. You can database replication so that it spans availability zone for a given site. Have the master in one availability zone, and the replica sets in a different availability zone. So in it, if you fail over, it is not all in the same one. It can go to different availability zones, and that way you get much better HA.
Yeah, that's a good point to bring up. The other concept that we do here at Blue Box, the availability zones is with that, it's primarily geared towards having this within the same data center, like say for example, one server is on power grid A and a different server on power grid B. So by default at Blue Box, all of your nodes get implemented in such a way that they get put into separate server racks, different areas of the data center. So just the base 3 node cluster is already in a highly available setup on multiple power circuits and in different areas of the data center.
So are there any other questions from the audience, either on the database as a service or what you get with the Blue environment?
All right. Feel free to send an email if there are any questions to sales@bluebox.net or Steve or myself. I believe our emails are published on the invite of this event. We'd be happy to give a more detailed demo, talk about specific workloads, and take next steps with any of you. And look forward to speaking in the future. Sriram.
Bye-bye.
Bye.